Hello and welcome to my little bookish corner of the internet. My name's Harriet. Today I'm going to be taking part in the mid-year book freakout tag. Now, being quite new to BookTube and Bookstagram, I literally started them both this year. I had absolutely no idea what this tag was before I saw it on 155 Books channel. I will leave that video link down below so you can go and watch theirs, but that's where I saw this and I felt really inspired to take part. So I'm excited to start this. And basically, if you didn't know what this was about, it's kind of like a mid-year wrap-up of your favourite books, your most disappointing books and things like that. So prompts to talk about books that you've read this year and ones that you enjoyed, ones you didn't like, favourite characters. So I thought it was a really nice way to talk about all of those without doing like a massive super long video where I have no idea how to talk about what I've read this year. So yeah, let's get started. The first question is, what's the best book that you've read so far in 2021? And I'm completely prepared to surprise absolutely no one and say, obviously, the Earthsea Saga by Ursula Le Guin, but specifically the third book in the series, and that would be The Farthest Shore. I do only have this in collections, so I've got 2 quartets and then I've got the big book as well. But maybe one day I'll get the singular one just so I can carry it around with me when I go on holiday and things like that. But yeah, it's the third book in the series, and for me it just felt the most magical and most adventurous, and it also really felt like the author was having just the best time writing about these characters and really had like a very clear image of what they wanted to happen in the story. Not that the other books felt like they didn't have that. I've already spoken about them quite a lot on my channel, so you know how much I love them, and I do gush over them a little bit. But yeah, just in particular, The Farthest Shore just felt like such a magical and fantastic book, and it was exactly what I wanted from the series. So I would say that's my favourite book so far in 2021, and probably for many years to come. If you didn't already know about the Earthsea cycle, there are 6 main books and then you have 4 short stories as well. But it's basically a fantasy series focusing around this one wizard named Ged, or Sparrowhawk, and essentially their adventures. I don't want to say too much about it, but if you like series like Harry Potter, I feel like you will absolutely adore this series, and I really recommend picking it up. It starts off being quite child friendly, and then it starts to get a little bit more YA as you go on through the series. So yeah, I talk about this an awful lot. I do reference it quite a bit, but I just absolutely love it. I think it is such a wonderful series. The second question is, what's the best sequel that you have read so far in 2021? And that actually takes us to another fantasy classic, and that is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Personally, for me, the best sequel I've read so far this year would be The Two Towers, which is the second book in this trilogy. There we go, so it's this one here. Again, I only have it in a collection, I don't have it singularly. But the universe that this is set in is so expansive, and Tolkien's writing is just phenomenal. It really sucks you in. So I did enjoy all of the books in this series, but particularly the second book. I don't know what it was about it, it just really gripped me. There was a lot of action and all of the characters were already really well established by then. We get to follow the hobbits and wizards. There are loads of strange mythical creatures in there as well. So if you want a super intense but really fun fantasy series that just keeps you gripped the whole time, I definitely recommend checking this out. And I do feel like you'll really love the second book. It is just amazing. And I feel like there was a lot of thought put behind that book, particularly surrounding like industrialism taking over the natural world. I felt like that was touched on a lot more in the second book than any of the others. And I just found it really interesting. So yeah, The Two Towers from the Lord of the Rings trilogy would be my favourite sequel of 2021 so far. The third question is, what is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to? And that for me would be a book that I've shown a couple times on my channel and I still haven't got to. It's really frustrating me, but I just don't have the time. But that would be The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna. I found this gorgeous edition in Tesco's. And again, this is another fantasy novel. I'm so sorry. It's just my favourite genre and the one that I get on with the most. Basically, we are following a young girl, and she is in a world where when you come of age, you get cut at a blood ceremony. If you bleed red, you're good to go, you're fine. If you bleed gold, you are outcast and seen as a demon and basically sentenced to death. So this is what happens to our main character, and then we follow their journey throughout. I just think it looks really interesting, and it is a YA fantasy novel, so I feel like I'm definitely going to enjoy this, and I'm really excited to get to it. If you want to watch a review, I will leave a review by Out This World Reader down below. They did a fantastic review of this book without any spoilers or anything like that, and it really made me interested in this. Yeah, hopefully I can get to this year. And the fourth question is, what is the most anticipated read for the second half of 2021? Now, personally, I don't really keep up to date with a lot of new releases that come out, so I didn't actually have an answer for this question. I'm gonna just have to show you a book that I've already read that came out on the 1st of June, and that is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is the only book this year that I have really looked forward to reading and that I knew that I wanted to buy as soon as it came out. So this is the only one I can really talk about. I have spoken about it in my wrap-up video, which I'll leave down below as well. So if you want to see my thoughts on this, then you can check that out. And we get on to the next question, question number 5, which is, what is the most disappointing read of 2021? This was quite an easy one for me, unfortunately, and that is my first Haruki Murakami book that I read, 1Q84. I read the first and second book. They were in a little collection. The first one, okay, how do I describe the premise of this book? I think this is why I didn't like it, or one of the many reasons why I didn't like it. I'd basically heard that Murakami's writing was really beautiful and filled with loads of prose, and it was just stunning, so I was excited to start it. And I will say that the writing, when I first started the first book, it did feel that way, and it felt very beautiful, and it was really lovely to read. And then we started getting into the storyline, which didn't really feel like a storyline. It felt very kind of rushed and put together, and it was also really vague. Basically, one of our main characters feels like they are in an alternate timeline or alternate universe, and there are 2 moons in the sky, and they also happen to be like an assassin, and they get sent on this mission, and then there's these little people. It was just madness, and I'm all for a weird book, that's fine. That wasn't really where the book peed me off. The main thing that I found disappointing was the way that the author spoke about women. Honestly, every single time that you were introduced to a new female character, all the author spoke about was their breasts, and it just really annoyed me. I didn't want to have to read that every time. And there was also like a lot of inappropriate underage relations, and it deals a lot with rape, but not in a way that felt like it really had anything to do with the story. It wasn't for me, and I was really looking forward to it. I literally put it on my Christmas list to get it for Christmas because I really wanted to read it. I heard so many good things, and it wasn't for me. It didn't do anything for me at all, which is such a shame. So I won't bother reading the third one in the trilogy. I don't want to put myself through that again, but yeah, it just wasn't for me. Question number 6 is, what is the biggest surprise of 2021? The Travelling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa. I thought I might like this, but I didn't realise just how much it would mean to me and just how much it would affect me. I found this in a charity shop after reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which, brilliant book, really amazing book, and I thought this looked kind of similar in vibes but not storyline. And this is basically following a cat and his owner, and for unknown reasons they are being pulled apart, so you have to find a new home for the cat. And we are following both characters on this journey and where the timeline takes them, and it is one of the saddest books I have ever read. It was really hard to read, but it was also wholesome at the same time. So while it was incredibly heart-wrenching and really emotional, it also felt quite cozy, and it was very easy to read. I just can't believe how much I fell in love with this, and I do want to reread it really soon because it was just amazing. So yeah, if you want something emotional and you love cats, you love animals, and you love relationships between characters, I feel like you'd really enjoy this. Question number 7 is, who's your favourite new author? Debut or new to you? Do you even need to ask? Ursula Le Guin. Ursi made me fall in love with her writing, and then her writing made me fall in love with her writing. Just every book I've ever read by her, I'm blown away by how well she creates characters. They are flawed, they aren't perfect, but they just feel so realistic. And the pacing of the story is always really fantastic. The writing itself is stunning. Yeah, just wonderful. The next question is, who is your newest fictional crush? And that would actually be Hud from Malibu Rising. I'm showing this book off again. Hud is one of the siblings that we follow in this story, and he is just so pure and so lovely, but he also sticks up for himself and he sticks up for the people that he loves. He's such like a family man, really looks after his siblings, and yeah, just like the nicest character I've ever read about. So lovely. So yeah, Hud from this is just amazing. And then I know this is kind of cheating, but I read Howl's Moving Castle by Deanna Wynne Jones, and Howl from that, I feel like I fancied him mainly because I've seen the Studio Ghibli adaptation, and yeah, it's been a crush for a while. The next question is, who is your newest favourite character? And that would be Gigi the cat from Kiki's Delivery Service by Yuko Kadono. Gigi the black cat is so sassy and so hilarious and just so adorable. I love any kind of animal that can talk in a story. I think that it adds so much intrigue and so much fun to a story. So yeah, Gigi from this would be one of my favourite fictional characters that has come out of 2021. I just really love reading about them. And there's also this scene in this book where Gigi puts on, it's called a belly band, so it's like a little cozy made out of wool that you put around your tummy. And Gigi pretends not to love it, but you can tell that he definitely does. And that was just such a cute and funny bit to read. The next question is, what is a book that made you cry? Most of the books that I've ever read in my life have made me cry. I'm a very emotional person, so it doesn't take a lot for me to cry. But Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Reid's writing always makes me tear up, no matter what. But tears did actually fall with this one. It's a short story basically following two characters as they're conversing with each other because the wife has found out that her husband is cheating on her, so she writes to the husband of the woman that her husband is cheating on her with. I didn't explain that very well, but they're conversing with each other via letters, so it's written in the form of letters. And just the way that she can put forward who these people are just from them writing is crazy. I don't know how she managed to do it, but I was so attached, and it was a short story as well. It wasn't very long at all. But yeah, I cried a lot. It was very emotional. And they're just kind of pouring their hearts out onto these pages and you're reading it, and it just felt just so real. It was literally like reading a story from real people. Yeah, so that definitely made me cry quite a lot. The next question is, what is a book that made you happy? And that would be Emma by Jane Austen. Any Austen book just makes me feel so happy. Not only because it looks beautiful, so whenever I look at it, I'm filled with joy, but the story itself was just so heartwarming, and again, it's quite like a gossipy book. So that was really nice. It's nice and light-hearted, and the characters are really lovely. And Austen always makes you feel so happy when the characters that you want to get together do get together. Yeah, it was just such a wonderful read. And I do definitely want to read more Austen books. I've only read about half of the ones she's written so far. I've got the other half on my shelf, so hopefully I can start those soon. The next question is, what is the most beautiful book that you've bought or have been given this year? And that would be The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This was bought for me for my birthday by my partner, and it's got all the maps on the inside. It's got little illustrations throughout as well. It's just so nice. It's got Tolkien's original drawings in there, and it's also so tiny. It's like pocket-sized. I love it so much. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and it makes me want to buy all the other stories in this edition as well, which would cost me so much money because they're really expensive, but they do look really nice. And the final question is, what books do you need to read before the end of 2021? Now, I've got so many books that I want to read this year. My physical TBR is just, well, to be honest, it's ridiculous. So I'll only show you a couple of ones that I haven't already mentioned before on my channel, like in TBR lists and things like that. So the A Pinch of Magic series, I think it's by Michelle Harrison. That is a trilogy. I think it's for children, I believe, not even YA. And I feel like because I'm a Harry Potter fan, I think I'll really like this series. We're following sisters, 3 sisters, and there's like magic in there, witches. It seems like it's going to be really fun. I obviously want to finish the A Song of Ice and Fire series. If I can finish that before the end of this year, that would be amazing because it is a mission. I enjoy the books, but they are just so huge. And like I say, I'm on the first part of the third book. So I haven't got that many left to go, but it is taking me a little while, so hopefully I can finish those. I would also really love to finish Magician by Raymond E. Feist. I got purchased that for my birthday as well, and it is a fantasy novel following a wizard's apprentice. I'm gonna love that so much, so I'm really excited to start that. Yeah, there's just so many. In fact, I think I might do a video with like my most anticipated reads for the rest of the year. I think that'd be really good because I did do one at the start of the year and it's changed quite a bit since then because I've obviously finished some books, I've got new books. So yeah, let me know down below if you'd be interested in that. But yeah, that is it for this tag. If you do take part as well, definitely let me know down below so I can check out your video. I'd be really interested in your answers. But that is it from me today. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!